Okay, here. I'm here on inquiry. I'm here on inquiry. Let me take off my hoodie. Kala kanu kikeka, abu mama dio honey way, abu iwe kaka kaka, uku iwe kaka kaka. Thank you to my returning viewers. For the new people, let me get into the greeting. 4 things. First, and again, this is not the full greeting. I'm just going to let you guys know I will not always do that one just because it takes a while, and that's fine. But I will always give you at least 2 things on any live stream, and on Anger, I'll give you at least 4. Here's 4. First, my government name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe. Second, my astrological sun sign, according to zodiac astrology, is Capricorn. Third, I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. And fourth, I was born on January 2nd, 1998. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you to my ancestors. Let me get right into it. I want to do some practical work, as in I want to write down stuff for my own organizational purposes, but I also have a lot to get off my chest. Let me just begin. I've talked about this a lot, but because I still have not received justice, I'm still seething. You see, anger is a natural part of life. But in this world, we're supposed to be angry about small things. Yes, we should be angry about small things. But that doesn't mean that we commit an act of evil. That's a misconception. Let me walk. Kala kanu ne ekeya, abu mama diuha ni puya, abu mama diuha. Anger about small things should lead us to quickly resolve small things. For example, if you're sitting down and you feel uncomfortable, you should be angry and then adjust your position. That's an example. Anger simply says, something's wrong here, move towards completion. Anger is also coupled many times by pain. There are different forms of pain. Pain is the stick. Anger is the space between you and the carrot. The space between you and the carrot impels you forward. But you see, I'm angry about something big. I've been disrespected and muzzled for years now. You see, I've said a lot, but I haven't even said half of what I need to say. And that's because my dad, Anthony Ibe, has, and I'm saying this, I've said this before, well, I've alluded to it, but I'll just say it like this. My dad I have evidence, I'll just say it like this. I have evidence that he's used the law unjustly to put me in a position where it's hard for me to speak. And let me explain what I mean by that. You see, I've never gone to jail, I've never been to court, nothing like that. And I'm also not a lawyer, so I'm not familiar with legal chicanery. And I'll just leave it at that. But from what I've seen, many times when someone has done something weird legally to you, it seems the practice is to not say everything because maybe that could have some sort of negative impact somehow. I don't know. And I'll leave it at that. Because of that, I haven't said everything. Then on top of that, I'm in a position where I'm not 100% physically secure. And the reason for that, well, there's 2 reasons. One, this has been a lifelong problem. I don't know enough people. That's not to say that all the people I know are bad. Not true. I know many good people. It's just I need to know more. And I'll leave it at that. 2, my dad used some maneuver to enter me into a situation where I had to sign multiple contracts under duress. And I'm saying it like that for the first time. And as a result, his name is on the lease to my current living place. And because of that, in theory, he could come here and cause more trouble. Let me move. Abu mama yuhani ya. Abu mama yuhani ya. Kala kanune ya. Kala kanune ya. Abu mama yuha kaka. Abu mama yuha nuwa. You see, the big pretense I'm seeing from what my dad has done is that he's trying to say that I'm unable to distinguish between reality and fantasy, and that I'm unable to do what is necessary mentally to understand the world enough to make my own decisions. This is completely false. You see, in saying this, he's leveled four main categories of insults against me. I'll just name them like this. One, that I blame racism for my problems excessively. And I'm just going to leave that one there because everyone is intelligent enough to know that that is just a crude, nonsensical insult. But for years, he's maintained that. Two, he said that I'm bad because I'm not a Christian. And I'm also going to leave that one there because that, and especially as I say it, I'm linking those two more. That is just crude nonsense. No one has to be a Christian, and Christianity is not logical. Then let's get into the next two. Three, he said that I'm irresponsible and unwell because I do not have a lot of money. And linked to this is that I do not work the way most people work. And that's the best way to say it. Because I'm just going to say this. My job here, running this media company, can be classified as broadcast journalism. It can be classified as entertainment. It can be classified as so many things that many other people do. It just seems that because I'm a young person, and I say that relatively, I'm black, and I'm working for myself, it's bad. Let me move. Abu mama yulani weya. Abu mama yulani weya. Abu mama yulani kala kanu junuwa. Kala kanu no kikeka. And then the fourth category of insult is that and you know what? I'm gonna say it, but as I say it, it becomes more apparent to me that he's been operating, at least in terms of what he said to me, under the tenets of a fallacy. He says that I'm mentally unwell because I am, well, how do I categorize this one? Okay, I think this is well, let's see. He says that I'm mentally unwell because I believe that I can communicate with spirits. Let me move. Abu mama yuhani weya. Abu mama yuhani weya. Kala kanu kikeka. Kala kanu junuwa. Kala kanu weya. Abu mama yuhani weya. Abu mama yuhani weya. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani nawa. Abu mama yuhani wa. Abu mama yuhani nuwa. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani nuwa. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani kohe. Abu mama yuhani. And I'm really going to leave that one there. I'm honestly still processing that. This is a lot. The subtext to all of this is that my health, my whole life has never been good. And since I left college, and really, that is an oversimplification. That's what I'll call it. But since I left college, my health has taken a nosedive. And I'll just put it like that for simplicity's sake, but I want to note, really since I was 11, I've noticed just not being myself health-wise, especially in terms of fatigue. And there are very tangible reasons for this. You see, from the time I was 11 till the time I was 18, I woke up at 5:30 every morning to go to school. My school was an hour away. I woke up before everyone else. I woke up the other people I had to travel with, and they made me late. Let me move. Abu mama you anyway, Abu mama you anyway, Kala kanu kike, Kala kanu meite, Abu you anyway, Abu mama you anyway, Abu mama you anyway, Kala kanu kike. So needless to say, I lost out on a lot of sleep. And these schools were all relatively intense, and I'll leave it at that. So obviously, if that's happening while you're growing, that will impact your health. And then there were many times when I didn't get proper food to eat. And I'll just leave it like that. Now, let me go again. That uku is there. Those four things are there, right? Anthony says that I'm crazy and I can't take care of myself because one, I think racism affects me. Two, because I'm not Christian. Three, because I don't have a lot of money. And side note, I don't work a job. I don't work the type of job most people do. But I want to emphasize the way people describe employment insults people like me. Self-employment is a form of employment. I'm employed. And don't come to me with you need to be making a certain amount of money for it to be a job. There are a bunch of people out there who don't get paid very much by their job. It's still work. Let me move. Abu mama you anyway, Abu mama you anyway. And let me just go there. I'm here. I'm standing. I'm talking. I haven't even gotten everything I need, but I've gotten enough to be alive enough to speak here. And I've talked about before how I have a lot of evidence that part of the reason I've gotten anything is because I'm working. Okay, it's put pressure on people like Anthony to throw some crumbs at me, and I've refined my character to use those crumbs to survive. Let me move. Abu mama you honey, baby. 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 Kala kanu Kala kanu kike. Abu mama you honey, baby. Anyway, let's focus on my health problems. There are two core symptoms that I've had over this period. One, fatigue, and two, pain. These have manifested in various forms. But the long and short of it is that I cannot exert myself up to my full capacity, and like anyone, I can sense what that is. And I certainly cannot exert myself long enough to work a typical 9 to 5. And that is the standard I use, because if I'm just starting from a standstill to either A, go out and work the type of job that most people are working, or B, organize my work such that I'm working that kind of volume by myself, I can't do it. Now, this is a side note. I think the volume of work that the average person works is too much. But I'm just using that as a standard because when I left college, my idea is that I would be working that amount. And I'll leave it at that because really, when I look at myself, I think that the only way when I'm healthy that I will not work even greater an amount than that is if people are pulling me away to do other things. Let me move. Abu mama you honey, baby. Abu mama you honey, baby. Abu mama you kaka. Abu mama you nuwa. Abu mama you nuwa. Abu mama you nubura. Ka. Why am I saying this? Because I work around the clock. Okay, and I'll leave it like that. That's the best way for me to describe how I work. And I do not really count the hours I work. In my head, I have the idea that if I'm working on average 4 hours a day, I'm doing well. But I work around the clock. And I'll just leave it like that. Anyway, because of my health issues, And then also because of what was going on in the world when I left, really when I left my college campus for the last time before graduation, because everyone was ordered to leave campus due to the global health emergency and its effects, right? This was in 2020. I left March 2020, graduated May 2020, and then I had the official graduation ceremony in June of 2022, because we did it 2 years later. Anyway, that was rough. But because of that situation, um, I knew that I had to take care um, when figuring out my work situation. And let me just do this. Let me be smooth. What I feel moved to do now is to narrate my work situation, and I'll do it up until 2023. Because in 2023, my younger sister attacked me in a vile manner, and that's an event that I still cannot just talk about at length. So, in order to protect myself and really give myself more support and support, I'm just not going to say that. Because really, as soon as that attack happened, that was beyond a flag on the play, okay? So let me just move. So anyway, let me just begin by narrating. After I graduated from college in May of 2020, and again, we didn't have an in-person graduation ceremony, but we graduated, we were sent our certificates, everything. Um, I started, one, I was committed to trying to improve my health, but because of the situation in the world, and then just a combination of, with all due respect, um, I'll just say poor medical treatment, because the vast majority of the medical professionals I saw, there's some exceptions, shout out to them, but the vast majority of the medical professionals I saw did not help me adequately. But because of a combination of that and the inherent difficulty of figuring out a complex health issue, um, I was just not really succeeding there, but I was trying to fix my health. But then I also wanted to set myself up to work. So I knew I wanted to found my own media company, but I was just thinking about the structure. So I was slowly doing that. Then at the time, I also started working as part of a startup for a skincare company. And this is a story that I don't look at enough because one, a lot has happened, and two, I just don't have the ability to do the reach back for justice yet, okay? And that's really the thing that frustrates me a lot in all these cases. So, I start working for this company in about June. This is a startup. And I think I left about October. Long story short, I didn't get compensated. My idea is that I would get compensated somehow. I knew that as a startup, I might not get compensated a lot up front, but someone reached out to me, offered me a position working for this company, and I was working. So, I thought that either I would maybe after the initial really, because it's just one of those things. Why would someone offer you work and no compensation? That doesn't make sense. And they had a whole setup. So, initially compensation wasn't explicitly discussed, but it's like, come on, this is work now. So initially, I asked for compensation after a while because I found it strange. There was cold feet, um, but I thought that eventually they would work something out. One, because I was not the only person on the team, so it's hard. It's hard for one person to scam, like, say, five people, especially when they all are alluding to something. Two, I just didn't really see how that operation would go forward if no one was paid. Let me move. Anyway, long story short, I expected to either be compensated with a standard salary of some sort, and I thought, okay, that one might be small, but it's something. Or two, I would get stake in the company, and or then three, some combination. Because again, this is a startup. Long story short, no compensation. So that ended up being a negative experience. I won't say it's a total waste of time because I learned some things, but it was a negative experience. But I still have to do the reach back for that. And yes, I'm coming, and I'll leave it at that. So I was working. And then also during this time, both really because Anthony put me under pressure, my dad, and again, I just say his first name because one, it's not disrespectful to call someone their name. That's a misconception in society today. We have a lot of people who don't like their names, so they want to hear their child call them something else. Let me move. So there's that. And two, he was not a proper parent. He's still not a proper parent, so he doesn't deserve any additional titles. Anyway, let me squat down here for a bit. So, because of pressure from Anthony, I was also working part time at his medical office. But this is the thing. These things happened concurrently, and they confirmed to me even more that I needed to take it easy because of my health. Because one, even though I gave my best effort working for the skincare company and I deserved compensation, and I want to note the type of work I was doing was different than the type of work I was told I would be doing. And also I was given too much work. I was given too much work. But despite all that, I could tell that I was just not working at my peak capacity because if I had been healthier, I either would have, let me just say it like this. If I had been healthier, I would have gotten that situation resolved quickly. And I'll just leave it at that. I would have sorted it out and resolved it. And, who's to say what would have happened, but I would have resolved it. Because I was unhealthy, that thing went on too long. And then I just ended up, how do I describe it? I ended up with just improper work. I ended up with an improper work situation. I'll leave it at that. So I said, okay, I'm clearly not myself. Then, for what my dad was asking me to do, it was working part time at his office. And it was weird because the stuff he had me doing, because he had me clean his office. There's a duality to that because the office needed to be clean, but there just should have just been a better cleaning situation. I'll leave it at that. And then there were times he had me sitting in there when no one was in the office. There were certain days when no one was working. He said, okay, go to the office. So really that was an insult, but it was a weird one because one, in theory, that's not that stressful. But I'll get to that in a second. Why that ended up being complicated. But two, it seems like he was saying, okay, boy, because he has this way of talking like he's some sort of, I think he's watched a lot of these movies and reality TV shows where some guy in a suit comes on and wants to talk down on a gangster or whatever. Let me move. And of course, I'm not a gangster. I'm just saying that's a stereotype. But it's just for the record. Even if someone's bad, you can talk down on them. There's no point in coming up to an adult and saying, um, like, stop, selling illegal stuff, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and make an average wage. That's kind of an insult. Like, obviously, they shouldn't be doing that stuff, but like, I'm not even going into that. You know what I mean? That's nonsense. just keep walking. Um, so I think he has this idea that and you can look at the racism angle I put in there because self hate. I think he has this idea that I'm some sort of common ruffian or whatever that they'll put up on TV to insult. So he had this idea that, okay, boy, you need to get off up your backside and go do something. Get out the house. Insult. I'm sick, and also I'm not a lazy person. Okay. But anyway, the whole point of it is that was kind of a waste of time, but it was a waste of time that if I was healthy, either wouldn't have happened because I would have just been in a different situation, or it wouldn't have stressed me too much. I would have just been annoyed, but I would have just been like, whatever, this is a small part of my life. But getting out there to do that bit actually like strained me a lot physically. So I said, okay, I'm kind of sick, more than I realized. So, um, really, because there was a point, it was like November, I went to an ENT. I forget the name of the acronym or what is it? Ear, nose, and throat. And I forget the full term. Forgive me. I know it. I'm just forgetting it. But anyway, I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor and got recommended to have surgery because I was having trouble breathing. Okay, because that was also part of the fatigue issue, and that also dovetailed with the sleep issue. Okay, but I was put on wait list for the surgery. The surgery was like in March. So, because of all this stuff, I said, okay, for that period, let me really just take it easy. And then also because there's a lot of uncertainty, both due to the global health situation and the related economy, let me really just say, you know what, let me wait until the next calendar year, until I really seriously advance my, and I'll call it outward work situation, because I was always trying to figure out my media company, but I was still working that out. And of course, I'm not saying everything that happened literally, because one, I can't literally play back my entire life, and two, there's still stuff I can't say. But anyway, long story short, during this time, I made an earnest effort to work, and I was working. And again, after that point when I got recommended for surgery, I was still doing my own work, as in work to figure out the structure of my media company. It's just it was happening very slowly because I was sick. And then I want to add there was a lot of chaos in my family. I've talked about that before. So stuff would explode and waste my time and tire me out. And then I've also mentioned before, I did it recently, but I'll say it again. I wasn't being nourished properly. I had improper nutrition. So, long story short, that carried into the next year. My health didn't improve significantly, even after the surgery. And then I've talked about before how I ended up working full time at my dad's office, and that took a lot out of me. So, this whole time, a lot's going on. That is not me being lazy. Let me move. Anyway, I think I've really made my point. I think I've really made my point. I just want to add that this dynamic really persisted in a different way after I moved to Atlanta with my sister, who again is just someone I don't want to talk too much about. But the insults persisted. And I just want to add, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. In addition to quote unquote getting a job not making sense for me because of my health, it also is just an illogical construct. The idea that you're more likely to make money working for someone else than working for yourself doesn't make any sense. And the idea that I can't make money from this enterprise, I mean, you don't think any media companies make money, no entertainers make money, no artists make money, no musicians make money. I mean, that's nonsense. Let me move. Anyway, let me look at the insults again. To remind you of the four categories, and again, I'll get into other things, but I just want to round this up. One, that, again, the idea that my dad is advanced is that one, that I'm crazy because one, I think racism affects me. I'm not really going to address that. That's, I mean, it's obvious that's nonsense. Like, obviously, racism affects me. It's nonsense to think someone's crazy for thinking racism affects them. Two, that I'm crazy because I'm not Christian. Again, that's in the same category. But I'm going to come back to that because I want to address some other people who are annoying me because they've insulted me. Three, I'm crazy because I'm not making a lot of money. That's a big one to look at, especially because I'm going to bring back Dr. B here. And then four, that I'm crazy because I believe I can talk to spirits. I mean, these are really just all nonsense. What really bothers me is the other people who've joined in. Because I'll be honest, I really tend to tune Anthony out. Because as long as I can remember, he just attacks with nonsense. And really, he just positions himself in a place where it's not efficient to attack him with full force. Because let me let you in on a secret. Anthony, when I was a child, would attack me as if I was God. And what I mean by that is he would come with full force, and then when I look at it, he would expect me to try and remove him from his position. For example, I would ask to go hang out with someone. He would say no and give me a million years net lecture about how I don't know people, blah, blah, blah. Again, if you do that, you're engaging with your child as if they're God. You don't need to do all that. And as a child, what else am I going to do? I'm just going to go away because there's no way for me to remove a parent from his station. And then as an adult, I mean, he would just do things, and I'm not getting into all of it. He would just do things that would have required me to really escalate things to a point that's not efficient. Let me move. Anyway, let me talk about two people who've insulted me because I've already talked many times about others. There's many people who've joined my dad in this. I'll just talk about two people who've insulted me in a similar vein to him. One, Dr. B. And my primary gripe with him is insults 3 and 4. Okay? He insulted me both implicitly and to a large extent explicitly by suggesting there was something wrong with me because I wasn't making a lot of money. But the caveat to this is he never diagnosed me with anything. And then he was talking to my dad behind my back. My dad was, at least according to Dr. B, I have to check because you can't assume that a liar told you the truth when they admitted to something. It's weird. But anyway, don't trust a liar, verify. But anyway, because of all that nonsense, and also the fact that, medical professionals had examined me before and never diagnosed me with any mental illness or said anything was wrong. I'm talking about the emergency health personnel that helped save me. Thank you to them during the Atlanta hotel incident that Anthony set up. Because really, if I had some mental illness that required me to be stripped of my capacity to do things, why would it have not come out in that stressful situation? And then I'm going to go here. The way Dr. B was talking, and again, he lies, the way Dr. B was talking, he seemed to be trying to leave the door open to the idea that I could have received some diagnosis without my knowledge. Again, this is why I can't fully speak, because I don't know about these things. The law is broken. I don't know every loophole. I'm not a loophole boy. But I'll just say this. Clearly, that's unethical. And based upon my research, there are no loopholes that would allow that. Let me move. So I think I've made my point there, but just because I haven't been able to come back for justice, and that's a lack of money. But I'm just going to say this. What percent of people in their 20s have enough money in their own right to undergo an extended legal battle? I don't know very many. So that's not even me being below average. That's just for me to get tied up in court with you people. I mean, come on. So I'm just going to leave that there. But the additional layer to this insult is that, you know, some of the pretense of this is also insult for, that I'm crazy because I believe I can talk to spirits. But Western medicine does not say that you're not allowed to believe in spirits or that you can communicate with them. Chief among them, they don't diagnose Christians with mental illnesses because they say they can talk to God, and I wouldn't even endorse that. And this is why this whole uku is pretty offensive to me, because insult to and insult for contradict each other. Unless you want to come up with only the priest and only the pastor can talk to God. Let me move. So anyway, that's person one. Person two is Chima. Let me give some more details about him. Chima's a relative of mine who is old enough to be my father. Okay, he's middle-aged. I don't know his exact age, which is a problem in my family, but I know how old he is. Again, he's been bald my whole life. He also is unmarried. He has no kids, and I'm just going to say it quickly. That does not meet the standard of society in Nigeria today and among quote-unquote Igbo people. So I'm just saying that to say he doesn't meet those Igbo cultural standards, but the way he's been acting, he's been trying to play into it. And I'll leave it at that. And three, weirdly, he plays a lot of video games, and these are video games that involve committing acts of evil, like fighting people and doing other things. And I'll leave it at that. Let me move. Abumama yuhani weya, abumama yuhane keya, kala kanu kikeya, kala kanu yuwa, abumama, amarama, abumama, amarama, abumama, amarama, abumama, amarama, abumama, amarama, kaka, 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 so this individual decided, and I've said this before, to reach out to me when I was asking for help during my ordeal after I'd been attacked and been left to perish. Reach out to me and tell me that I deserve to suffer because I'm not a Christian. And mind you, this person had never discussed Christianity with me before. Yes, in our environment, it was assumed he was Christian and he assumed I was Christian. I don't, well, do I blame? And I'm just going to say this. If my relatives had it in their head I wasn't a Christian or whatever, that doesn't count. You, especially my elders, you should have brought it up. But anyway, I'll just leave that there. But, you know, just because you're assumed to be Christian because you're Nigerian, you haven't said you're not, that doesn't mean you're like a booming Christian, okay? So to then come out with your video game playing self who doesn't meet the other parameters of this, what I'll call stereotypical Nigerian elder whatever, that's beyond an insult. That is an act of war. And I'll leave that there. And he's done other things in line with other people. So these are the people that are angering me the most that I'm talking about now. And I'm just not able to reach back and get justice because of time and resources. And I'll be honest, until I get my resources together, one, I wonder what they'll do in their nervousness. And two, I don't know what else to do because I feel bad and I don't know. So I'm just move. So yeah, I mean, that's it for now on that. I just want to add the one other weird thing people have been doing, and I mentioned this before elsewhere, but I'll say it here, I think for the first time. One other weird thing people have been doing is telling me to quote unquote come back to Maryland, and especially talk to my parents. Again, I haven't lived in Maryland since 2021, and I don't, because of the way I grew up, I don't have enough connections there to justify moving back. If I moved there, everyone there would be a stranger, and none of my relatives who live there count, maybe with the exception of one person. Again, there's some relatives who I don't think are responsible for the overall misbehavior, whatever. But, okay, there's a couple more. But what I'm saying is the majority of them do not count because of this conflict. And I'm just going to say this. If you live somewhere and the only people you know are your family, you don't know anyone because your family is a part of you. You don't count them. So I'll leave that there. So that doesn't make sense. And it really seems like they have some sort of trap set up. I don't know. That's how it's coming up. And yes, Chima is one of these people. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. And I'm just thinking what to do with all that. Let me say something. Again, I've mentioned in the past that me and my ancestors don't agree on everything. And also, there's some things they're trying to tell me I don't understand. And when I say that, I mean that we have literal connection issues, okay? There's uh, physical strength as well as technological issues in our world today. They keep telling me not that I'm wrong about being angry or that these people are innocent. That's not what they're telling me. They keep telling me that things, they're telling me I have some cause to optimism I'm missing, and I'm just not sure what it is. So that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I just don't know what else to do. So, it is what it is. Anyway, let's share this stream. Abu Muhammad Yohani Weya, Abu Muhammad Yohani Buya, Abu Muhammad Yoha Kaka, Abu Muhammad Yoha Kaka, Abu Muhammad Yohani Buya, Kala Kanu no Kikeka, Abu Muhammad Yoha Bobe, Abu Muhammad Yoha Pope, Abu Muhammad Yoha He Hey Abu Muhammad Yoha He Hey Abu Muhammad Yoha He Hey Kala Kanu no Kibeya Kala Kanu Nibeya Abu Muhammad Yoha Bobe Abu Muhammad Yoha Pope Amadi Yoha ne Junua Amadi Yoha no Kikeya Amadi Yoha Kaka Amadi Yoha no Kikeka Amadi Yoha ne Kikeka Amadi Yoha ne Kinepa Amadi Yoha ne Junepa Amadi Yoha Bobe Amadi Yoha Pope Amadi Yoha ne Junua Amadi Yoha ne Junua Amadi Yoha Kaka Amadi Yoha Kaka Amadi Yoha Oka Uzukuka Oka is the water kalakana, is the water kalanana mana, is the water kalanata matu kamo mile kalakana, is the water kalakana, is the water kalanana mana, kalano kikeya, abu moki ke karakaraka, karatenuna karata, abu monyishi kalakana. Kala kanu no kikeka, kala kanu na iweya. Is the water kala kanu kaka? Is the water kala kanu wa? Is the water kala kanu wa? Is the water kala kanu kaka? Abum kala kanu kaka. Abum kala kanu karaya. Karatenu ne karata. Abu enu amadyoha. Abu Muhammad Yohani Weya, Abu Muhammad Yohani Perra, Karata, Karata. Abu Muhammad Yohani Buya, Abu Muhammad Yohani Weya, Abu Muhammad Yoha Bobe, Abu Muhammad Yoha Pope, Kalakan Nejua, Kalakan Nejua, Kalakan Nejua, Abu Muhammad Yoha Pope, Kalakanu Kikeka, Kalakanu Neibuya, Abu Nibua Majuha, Abu Mamajuha Pope, Abu Mamajuha Pope, Abu Mamajuha Popa, Amadiuha Nua, Abu Mebere Boba Wabe, Abu Mebere Keaka, Abu Mebere Majuha, Abu Mebere Bua Madiuha. Abreberebu kike kaka. Akila, 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 Nakua, Akila, 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 Nakua. Abu Muhammad Yohanuaya, Abumamadio Haniveya, Kalakanu Neveya, Kalakanu Neveya, Abumamadio Haniveya, Abumamadio Haniveya, Kalakanu. One other thing I want to add, I'm just going to keep saying this. I have reason to believe that during 2023 at least, and maybe before that, I was poisoned. And that negatively affected my health. More to follow when I can. Abu Magli na ekeya, Abu Magli amadioha, Kala kanu no kikeya, Kala kanu no kikeka, Abu Mama, Amarama, Abu Mama dioha, Kaka, Amadioha ne kanu wa, Amadioha no kikeka, Amadioha ba 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 ba, Amadioha kaka kaka. Karatenu karata, Abu Menu Amadyuha, Abu Mamadyuha, Amaria, Abu Mamadyuha, Amaria, Karatenu karata, Abu Menu Amadyuha. Alright. Well, I'm just thinking, and honestly, I don't know the answer. I'm just going to say two things. One, if you've wronged me, no matter how small the wrong was or how deep in the hole you are, apologize fully and make up for it fully, full stop. And I'll leave it at that. There is no reason not to make up for something wrong you've done. And part of that is a full apology. And full apologies come with an explanation. I'll leave it at that. Two, when it comes to my health, I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And because of that, I do see the light at the end of the tunnel with this issue. It's just there's some roadblocks I don't know how to overcome. But at the very least, I see the return and really the presence for the first time of my full and proper energy. So, yeah, let's move. Abu Mamadyuha, Kaka. Abu Mamadyuha, Luwa. Abu Mamadyuha, Kaka. Abu Mamadyuha, Luwa. Abu Mamadyuha, Bobe. 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 Abu Mamadyuha, Noka. Abu Makaramadyuha. Abu Makarukikeka. Abu Ra. Abu Ra. Abu Ra. Ra 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 Ra. Karata. Karata. Alright. Let's outline this. Kaladri Kalakanu Kaka. Abum Kaladri Kalakanu Karaya. Seeing the number 1247 a lot. Yeah. Alright, let's go. Kabrunam no goha. Abu Mamadyuha, Kaka. Abu Mamadyuha, Noka. Kalakanu, Nocha. Kalakanu, Keocha. Kalakanu, Okikeka. Kalakanu ne ikeya, kalakanu bu ikeya, ka ike biaoza, abumike ike kaka, abumike no anketa, abumike no kikeya, abumike okikeka, abumeke ya kwana, abumamadio ha, abumamadio ha kaka, abumamadio ha kana uwa, kalakanu no kikeka, kalakanu niveya, abumamadio bobe, abumamadio pope, kalakanu nibeya, abumamadio nibeya, kalakanu nibeya, kalakanu nibeya, abumamadio pope, abumamadio pope, abumamadio bobe, abumamadio bobe, kalakanu ne ibeya, kalakanu ne ibuya, abumamadio bobe, abumamadio pope, kalakanu ne ibeya, kalakanu ne ibeya, abumebeya madioha, abumebeya ibeka, abumebe kaka, abunkaebe kanuwa, abumamadio hanibeya. Kalakanune iveya, kalakanune iveya, abunka ibe kalua, abumamadio niveya, abumamadio kokoke, abumamadio popope, kalakanune ekeya, kalakanune kekaka, kalakanune iveya, abumamadio niveya. Abumamadio pope, abumamadio pope, abumamadio nibuya. Abumamadio nubuya, abumamadio hiheha, abumamadio junua, amadio nejunua, abum iru amadio, abum iru okikeka, abum iru kakakaka, abum kairu kanua, abum kairu kakaka, abumamadio hohe, abumamadio pope, abum ibu kaka, abum ibu amadioha, abum ibu kaka, abum ibu kaka, karatoja kaka, karatoja kaka, karatoja, 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 karanoja, karatoja, 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 karatoja. Abumo para karatosha kaka, abumo para karatosha nuwa, abumo para kaka kaka, aneme para papa papa, abumo para kara kaka kaka, abumo para kezenu nuwa, abumo para mone menu nema, abume bere bere bobo bobe, abume bere kere koko koke, akuwa akuwa. Abumamadio honey wooya, abumamadio honey booya, abumamadio honey gaya, ukweze ha ha ha, ukweze ha ha ha, abumukweze karaneze nuwa, abumukweze karaneze ha, abumukweze nemeze ha, abumukweze kweze kakakaka, abumukweze kweze kakakaka, abumukweze kweze 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 kweze, abumukweze kaka, abumukweze uwa, abumukweze kaka, kalakanu nejuwa, kalakanu nokikeka, abumamadio hanibuya, abumamadio hanifeya, abumamadio hanepera, karatenu ne karata, abumenu amadioha, abumamadioha bobobe, abumamadioha popope, amadioha nejunua, amadioha nejuwa, amadioha ukikeka, abumoki keka karayanua. Ha kalakanu nejunua, Kala kanu okikeka. Kala kanu ne iveya. Abu mama dioha amaranya. Ha, kala kanubu amadioha, kala kanubu amadioha, kala kanubu amadioha, kala kanubuzi amadioha, kala kanubuzi amadioha, kala kanubuzi amadioha. Amadio ha ha ha, Abu Mamadio ha ha, Abu Mamadio ha ha, Abu Mamadio ha ha, Kala Kanu inke ua, Kala Kanu ne ubuya, Abu Mamadio ha ra ra ra, Abu Mamadio ha karata, Karatenu na karata, Abu Menu amadio ha, Abu Mamadio ha niveya, Abu Mamadio ha nibuya. Kala kanu ne junua, kala kanu buaya. Ha, Abu Mama Diwani buya, Abu Mama Diwani buya, Abu Mama Diwani buya, Abu Mama Diwa bobobe, Kala kanu ne junua, Kala kanu no kikekan, Kala kanu ne ivuya, Abu Mama Diwa hohen, Abu Mama Diwa pope, Kala kanu ne ibuya, Kala kanu ne ivuya, Abu Mama Diwa nivuya. Abu Mama Diwa hi hey ha, Abu Mama Diwa nibuya, Kala kanu ne ibuya, Kala kanu ne ekeya, Abu Mama Diwa hohe, Abu Mama Diwa hoha, Abu Mama Diwa nawa, Abu Mama Diwa papa, Kala kanu no kikeka, Kala kanu nibeya, Kala kanu niveya, Abu Mama Diwa nibuya, Abu Mama Diwa bobobe, Abu Mama Diwa bobobe, Kala kanu ne ekeya, Kala kanu bu ekeya, Abu Mama Diwa nibuya, Abu Mama Diwa niweya, Abu Mama Diwa nikeya, AKGK no kikeya, AKGK ne kikeka, Abu Meke ukikeka, Abu Meke kakakaka, Abu Mama Diwa nibeya, Abu Mama Diwa nebeya, Abu Mama Diwa nivuya. Abu Mama Diwa hi hey ha, 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 Abu Mama Diwa nibuya, Abu Mama Diwa popope, Abu Mama Diwa bobobe, Kala kanu ne ebeya. Abu Mama Diwa nuwaya, Abu Mama Diwa waya ya, Abu Mama Diwa waya ka, Abu Mwaititi ke kaka, Abu Mwaitu ke kaka, Abu Mwaitu ke nuwa. Oh, Abu Mama Diwa hi hey ha, Abu Mama Diwa hi hey ha. Kala kanu no kikeka, Kala kanu bu iweya, Kala kanu ne wiwe neba, Abu miwe ukikeka, Aneme kweze, Abu mukweze, Aneme kweze. You know, I've started this. These are I'll explain it later. But basically, it's recurring topics I want to cover, especially on live stream. But then they'll also filter into pre-recorded videos, and then of course shorts, and then also something I'm gonna explain the way I'm gonna talk about one topic many times, especially investigation. So look at this. Anyway, I've begun it here. I'm gonna finish it on the next anger, but I want to take a break and go back to Chimoge's comments. So thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for helping me get that out, and thank you for helping me begin this. See you guys next time.